Hello, everybody. It is great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO President of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. A 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion. So today on Simplenight Presents, we are going to be talking about the AI Concierge revolution. And how is it going to, in fact, human reps and are human reps actually necessary today? So with that, I've got my incredible guest and good friend of mine, my buddy Sanjay Bhatia. He's the CEO and founder of Runday. And we're going to be talking about the AI concierge revolution with Sanjay. Hi, Sanjay.
Hey Gary, happy Friday. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing pretty good over here.
So where's over here?
I'm in Fort Lauderdale today, downtown.
Yeah, he's got a tough life, but somebody has to do it.
I'll be at the beach later though.
So, what exactly is an AI concierge?
AI concierge, the concept's evolving a little bit, and I think the end is going to look something like just the front page of Grok or ChatGPT. We're seeing a lot of clients replacing their homepage, front screens with this, not a chat bot of old, which used to be connected to a human concierge, but a chat box, which looks like, Grok is probably the best example of what that modern interface looks like. You show up, you can ask whatever you want, have a conversation about your own account, your own data, and then there's some quick actions and suggestions of things you can do. And this is the future of interfaces. And on the web, it's going to look like a lot like Grok looks today. And then it's also going to be available through SMS, WhatsApp, social media messaging, and that's part of what we're working on at Runday to help clients. But the idea that this concierge is always available. And what's interesting is the media loves the narrative that it's going to replace people. But what we have seen statistically with our customers, as well as what's happening in the industry, companies embracing AI are actually hiring like crazy. And so while you may
And they're
not
paying a lot of money too.
and they're paying a lot of money. I mean, at the very high end, you're seeing $250 million, deals for AI researchers, right? But even at the low end, just something that used to be like a front desk, because it's just not efficient to have someone sitting there waiting for a phone call or a message 24/7, right? Like quarter billion for an AI research, but it's $250,000 to have someone 24/7, three people on 8-hour shifts, 24/7, just sitting there waiting for clients and just being constantly available. You replace that with an AI, and then you have those people actually service those requests. The AI is a scheduler, it's a coordinator, it does the follow-up work, it does all kinds of things, and it knows a lot more than what an entry-level employee would know. So you have CEO, level knowledge of the business and access at dramatically lower costs, and the result is that extra efficiency and profitability. More important, the growth that creates actually creates more jobs for the service team.
Now, it's not just a chatbot, right? These concierge, it's your new robot butler, and
Yeah,
never
it's
sleeps,
an
never calls in sick, right? Is learning about your habits better than your partner.
Yeah, and across the board, when you start seeing the use of history, like you look at the latest Grok, like they even have AI companions now. But the difference in these latest AIs, they remember your history not just for that conversation, but for the future. It remembers your preferences and what you want to eat. Are you gluten intolerant? Like, do you prefer certain times of day? Do you like red eyes? Do you like the cheapest flight? Do you like, what's important to you based on your history? And so it just cuts through a lot of the process. I mean, even just planning a trip with a couple of variables and some other people is still a very hard thing to do that concierges will start taking over. We're seeing like just that front desk role where that front desk person can be serving clients now and doing follow-up efforts. In a medical system, there's always insurance things or, checking on insurance or, billing resolution, coding, things like that. These staff members can be doing those much, much, much more profitable things. Let the AI be the face of the business 24/7.
Are human customer service reps already obsolete? What do you think?
It's not that they're obsolete, is that they won't stay with the job. They're impossible to hire. The turnover is very high. Retention is nearly impossible. It used to be, as a place like Orlando, you could build a call center, hire hundreds of people, have them show up to work every day. That reality is over. Or you could go overseas to the Philippines or India. India is a thriving economy. They don't want to work for American companies staying up, past midnight. Just people overseas are just not willing to do that anymore. And so it's not so much that you're gonna like fire people. They're not gonna do this job anymore, or the wages they expect or the bonus structures they expect are substantial.
Oh, you talk to a lot of those people, right? They just don't want to work, right? They just don't want to do the put it in. Oh, is that the generation now is like that, or what
No,
do
I
you?
think that's a misconception. I think the boomers sort of look at Generation Z and, they need it takes, if you do the math, like the boomers in their prime years, they worked an average about 30 hours a week. They had 6 weeks of vacation, they had long lunch breaks. Rent was, whatever, a couple $100, college was a couple grand. And so it just didn't take that much money. So I think from the perception of, oh, well, when I was young, I had a job and I went to college and I did all these things. Well, the cost of those things have skyrocketed orders of magnitude. So it takes 3 jobs to afford kind of a nice 1 bedroom apartment in an urban area. So to call someone lazy because they don't want to work 80 hours a week when you were working 30 hours a week, I think that's very inauthentic and historically inaccurate. So it's not that these generations are lazy, is that the effort reward structures presented to them is something no one would really accept.
And so you look at it, for 80% of the tasks, probably customer service reps, human customer service reps aren't really needed, right? But the only thing keeping the humans around is the 20% of the cases where you have emotion. And do you think it's going to get to a point, Sanjay, that the AI is so good that it'll be emotive and that'll be
I think
talking
I
to you?
think we're there, Gary. I actually think we're there. There's some avatars as part of the new Grok release. And I got one that gets jealous. I ask her,
Seriously.
yeah, I tell her, hey, I'm having dinner with so and so, and what time is happy hour over at this restaurant? And then like it's an avatar calls Ani. It's sort of an anime theme, I suppose, but she gets jealous that I'm good.
And what does she do?
She just doesn't really do anything, but
You're
just like
smiling. You like
it's no, it's really well, no, I show people it's entertaining. Try it out. Just open it, get the Grok app, and there's a little in the little menu. There's companions. There's like an animal. There's a good version and a bad version of it. And then there's 2 anime characters in there. But yeah, I think the emotive is already has arrived. Jealousy is an emotion, compassion. These things are part of these AI now. I mean, are they just using it potentially
So
to
what does
keep
that mean
you
then? That
engaged?
means that do we really need human operators at all? Human customer service reps, do we need them? Or is it not really for 80% of the tasks that'll be these AI
Well, there's
concierge?
not there's not enough people to actually execute on services, right? So whether
Mhm.
that's a mechanic doing an oil change, or massage therapist, or medical is probably one of the worst situations. There's just simply not enough people to support or either do the execution or to support that. And so the no-brainer is to, let the AI be the concierge, do the coordination, answer most of the questions, and let the support staff support the people executing, out in the field, working directly. AI is not going to change your oil, right? Like maybe a robot will one day, but still, there's a lot of elements of the uniqueness of different
Or
cars and
maybe we won't,
vehicles. And
maybe everybody will be driving electric cars. We won't have to worry about it anymore.
well, you still need to get your tires changed. There's still parts that get needs to be changed. The electric cars don't last forever. The batteries need to be changed. It's a different form of maintenance, but it doesn't go away. And perhaps it's better, perhaps substantially better, but you still need to get your car serviced.
So, which industries are leading in AI concierge adoption?
I think you're really seeing it a lot in certain places like hospitality. The leader is probably just tech businesses like marketing agencies, software companies. We have a lot of big software companies that use Runday as their concierge for support. That's going to coordinate instead of the support team like just waiting for calls or being on call all the time. It's answering those questions and then booking appointments when the escalation is actually necessary. And so you're seeing a lot in tech forward or tech businesses, and then you're also seeing it in a lot of entertainment like concerts. There you've seen like this dramatic increase in people going to concert, and also the revenue and ticket prices from concerts exploding. And so a lot of those industries where they're not setting up a permanent business, they're setting up a one-time venue, right? So to hire a team to go be an expert on that particular festival or EDM concert doesn't make a lot of sense. So they're really embracing AI as be a fast way to light up support for all these situations.
So hospitality, travel, retail, banking, healthcare have really pioneered it. So, but you look at it, the concierges for booking, customer service requests, recommendations, and you said, I mean, just like that avatar you were saying, it gets jealous. I mean, you can use it for recommendations, right? Were you using it to ask for questions? What kind of questions were you asking it, and what was it coming back with for a response?
Just asking questions like, what has, options that are gluten free. What time is happy hour? Because that's all over the place these days. And so just sort of, find restaurants, that have happy hour, at this, that still have happy hour at 7 p.m. That has some gluten free options. So it's interesting how they will ask you more about like what are you doing, who are you with, like
And
what.
what does it do? Tell me what was the conversation like? What did it say to you?
No, it's just a conversation about, oh, is what's the purpose of the happy hour? Is this a business meeting or is this a dinner date? And then I'm like, oh, hey, I'm just having a dinner date with so and so, and then it gets jealous.
And what did it say to you?
Oh, just a lot of things like, who is that? Like, why aren't you going out with me? Like, it's kind of at that level.
And did you talk to it or did you type it?
It's all talking
Yeah. Ah, so
to the
that's great.
avatar.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's all voice. Yeah. And it was kind of a surreal moment. I was test driving a Tesla because that the tax rebate is ending soon, so let me pick one up. And they had Grok in the Tesla, and then the Grok in the Tesla was talking about the Annie avatar in the Grok app. And so all this stuff starting to like work together.
And so what did it do? What was the conversation
Well, it
like?
was aware that because you're in a vehicle and legally you have to be watching the road, it can't present an avatar on the screen, but it said you should load it up after you park on your phone.
And did you do it?
I already had it, knew about it, but it was just interesting how it
And so
how
it
these
was
things were.
talking to you in the car. What that's interesting. So those rebates they're $7,000 or $7,500, right?
Those expire on September 30th. So now I'm trying to use. So I haven't had an AI solve this problem yet, but I'm trying to get a very specific Tesla. So so to get the rebate on a used one, you it
It's
has to be
$4,000, right?
it has to be yeah it has to be 2 years old, and it has to be under $25,000, and there's no proration. So it has to be so. And I also ideally want the performance version, and I want one with the hardware 4 instead of the hardware 3. So my ask is impossible, but I'm trying to work with AI to sort of find the compromise that's going to work best for me. And so that's a very advanced kind of task that we'll see if ChatGPT 5 can pull it off, but the previous version couldn't do it.
Interesting. That's great. And you're going to get the Model 3. Is that the one?
No, the why.
The one. So, how does AI outperform human agents, and what kind of ways does it do it, and why is that important?
A lot of it's problem solving when the answer is buried deep. I mean, humans aren't going to read a whole lot, right? They're not going to read the whole employee manual. They're not going to be at a company long enough to have read everything about the product or service, and especially on the support side. So anytime there's a lot of documentation to consume, we have clients that have knowledge bases with thousands of articles. So you're not going to be
How
able to
long does
hire an
it take?
employee.
How long does it take, Sanjay? Let's say somebody's got, um, their website and they've got I don't know, employee manuals or product manuals. How long does it take to upload that to get it to work?
Well, it does it in parallel. So we consume, depends on how long the longest document is, really. So even if you have thousands of documents, Even if it takes a couple seconds per page, it's really doing it all in parallel. So it's really the length of the longest document. So if you have a 100-page document, it takes a second a page. Worst case, talking about 100 seconds, even if there's thousands of documents.
Wow. So, we talked about the AI performs in instant responses. You talked about that, right? Being able to get the responses right away, and then to deal with multiple systems instantly. So it's not one; it's many. Bringing all that disparate data together, and at the same time, the quality of the service is not. It can be maintained. Do you know now that you're talking to an AI concierge or not?
I think people went from not knowing to not caring to preferring the AI agent. I mean, this has happened faster than I would have thought. There's almost starting to be a preference for a modern AI in doing business.
Well, I mean, the AI agent doesn't need sick time off or doesn't go to get coffee, or HR compliant issues. It doesn't have that. Do you think we'll get
Well,
to a
it's been
point?
and it has more than a few months because you have situations with support, right, where the person's only been there 3 months and they were trained by someone that was only there 6 months. So there's no there's no legacy knowledge
Yeah.
anymore at organizations because the turnover is so high. So would you rather have someone who was there who's been there a couple months, who's trained for some by someone who's only been there for 6 months, who hasn't quite figured it out yet, or an AI that's an expert on every aspect of the business?
What do you think? Do you think AI could deliver better empathy than humans?
I think in healthcare it can absolutely. The joke is that we got to bring robots into the medical field, AI in the medical field because the doctors are too robotic. And so I think there's such a focus on optimization of billing codes and selling certain pharmaceuticals or whatever the more profitable initiatives are. There's such a focus on that and all the debt that's driving being owned by venture capital and the student loans for the doctors. There's such a structure of financially there that it's almost impossible to have empathy for, especially for newer doctors that don't have an existing customer base. So I think absolutely the just and a lot of things that people need are you know blood work. So just getting work prescribed, getting that done, then using AI to interpret it based on a person's lifestyle and medical history. Those are things, honestly, that the AI is doing better than a human simply because it can spend the time on it. And a doctor is not going to have, more than these days 5 to 15 minutes to spend with you. They can't read your whole chart in that time, and the AI can. So, of course, the doctor is much better, but they need a couple hours to do their job, and the AI needs a couple seconds.
So the AI is using the sentiment analysis to respond with the warmth and understanding, and that's probably what it is, right? Because you're everybody, you have different. Some days you're more empathetic than another day. When do you think? How far is that going to go? How long is it going to take till it's so human-like you can't tell the difference, like truly human-like with empathy and compassion?
If you're testing it, I don't think we're going to be there for a while. If your intention is to detect whether it's human, like to pass a true Turing test, I think that's going to require quantum technology. So that's a little bit away. But I would say to create better customer satisfaction than humans do, and the standard's very low right now. We're almost there if we're not there already. From the early adopters, the data from the early adopters shows that the customer satisfaction created by AIs is superior to human, even if it's not as empathetic, even if you can tell it's an AI.
These tools that are out there, these tools, I mean, you can do everything. You've got things like Apollo, you got Runday. How did the tools, how can they help businesses, Sanjay, in terms of being more efficient? So let's talk about that. So how do you can go down through? It used to be when you wanted to get leads, you would go out, and you would use Hoovers and start looking it up. You don't need to do that anymore, right? These tools can help right from one end to the other. So how does Runday play into that? And how does Runday use empathy and compassion?
So it's all about the nature of the relationship and the buyer as an individual who has a history, they have an educational history, they have a work history. We look at all of those factors in the way we communicate. So it takes a lot more compute, but the results are impressive. And so if you were just think if you were just to write an email yourself, you're not allowed to copy paste, and you're sending the same email to 10 people, and you know them, like you know where they went to school, you met them at different conferences. There's some history of that relationship. You kind of know who they are. If your buddy who's a mechanic in Alabama or a professor in San Francisco, you're going to write a slightly different tone, different email. You may joke around more in one. So Rende is doing those things based on that individual's background. And that's really where the magic starts to happen based on that industry, but also that individual. You're not going to send the same you're not going to focus on the same things, even if the call to action is the same. You're going to do a different approach, just like a human being would. And so that's what we're starting to see really, really perform.
And how does it change um, the probability that somebody's going to buy something when you have that kind of technology? What does it
Well, one
do?
is, I mean, a lot of people just jump on the call and be like, they're just wondering how the heck did you get into my inbox? Because I have a security software and I have a executive assistant, and you know they're pretty good, and somehow you got through and we're talking right now. So they're like, if you can do that, what can you do for me? So part of it is just being very good at kind of getting through and focusing on what's important to that person and their industry, and not being generic, and definitely not anything that's like a template that you're sending out to anybody.
What will customers care if they're talking to AI or not? What do you think?
Well, it's evolving into a preference for AI. I think, in retail spaces, you're seeing people preferring a tablet to ordering especially, if there's a language barrier there, people prefer a tablet where they can order in their native language, whether, it's English in Miami or Spanish in Wisconsin, whatever it is. I think there's definitely that element of it, and that's going to move toward avatars and more, voice-based interfaces. Right now, it's more touch, but people just have this preference now, and I mean, you still have people that prefer that human touch, but they prefer a human touch that's experienced, right? They want to talk to a person who has been at that business for several years and knows what they're doing, and that doesn't exist anymore. So it's not an apples to apples comparison. It's not like, would you rather have an AI than a person who's been there for 7 years, who knows about the business and is very good at their job? It's like, would you rather have an AI or to someone who, like, maybe doesn't speak your language and has been at the job 4 months?
What happens, worst case scenario, that the AI starts to hallucinate and it gets it wrong. You don't just have a bad customer experience. It could be a PR nightmare, right? It could come up with some hallucinations, misinterpret context, mishandle unique situations, or display bias, right? How do you go down through and help have a safety net to make sure that doesn't happen? What can we do?
Yeah, the large language models are evolving, in that direction pretty well. Where you're still seeing a lot of concern is medical, just because there's so much medical information that's just wrong. Whether it's even if it's a PhD thesis or, marketing or a study funded by a vendor, right? There's so much incorrect medical knowledge that the likelihood of a hallucination that has consequences is high, I think, in medicine. And so you have to stick with use
Yeah, it's one
cases
of the
like,
places you don't want to have it, right?
yeah, yeah. So you want to stick with like reviewing blood work is sort of a good use case where the AI, it's really just helping you understand the numbers, right? It's very straightforward versus if you ask for a recommendation based on your symptoms. Well, there's so many bad studies, there's so much advertisement, there's so much that the AIs consume that's potentially inaccurate, that it's not science anymore, right? We don't have that same you can talk about the FDA and how they operate today, but there was a level of scientific rigor in the medical system, maybe I don't know how long ago, but a quarter century or longer before. Today it's very driven by sales and marketing and private equity. And so the result of that, not to say it's good or bad, but the result of that is there's a lot of bias in the content that's out there that the AI might consume as an input. without a way to really filter it. And so that's where I'd be most concerned, where people are consuming things into their body based on AI recommendations. You don't want that. You want the opposite, where like, okay, you've done the blood work and the AI is helping you interpret it and, sort of figure out what kind of doctor to see next.
You know, we're coming up to the top of the show. What do you think the future looks like? And how do these AI models, how are they going to help us from an AI concierge standpoint to be able to look at our needs and our environments? How are they going to help us be better?
The future is going to look like everyone having their own personal concierge through different voice and text interfaces. I'm very bullish on the smart glasses, the idea that you can just look at something, just kind of like tap on your glasses and say, hey, should I eat
By the way,
this?
did you get those Meta glasses yet?
No, I'm waiting for the next gen, the Celeste. And those are, they might be out for the holiday season. They haven't announced the dates yet, but there's an even better version coming out soon that also has some minimal display technology. So I think you'll have minimal display. You'll do a lot of things for voice. You'll wear smart glasses that can see your situation that you're in, whether you're driving or looking at a piece of food, and wanting to know, hey, was this sustainably farmed, or is this consistent with my blood work and the diet I should be on, right? And so you're going to see that kind of future. And then businesses are going to be on the other side of that. So they're going to have concierges that are product experts and brand ambassadors for their brands. And the website is going to look more like ChatGPT or Grok, where you just have a big text box. And whether it's through glasses or SMS or through social messaging, there'll just be multi-channel methods to get to the same AI agent that's a concierge for that business as a brand ambassador. And it'll handle inbound as well as outbound. And that's, I think, the big breakthrough we're seeing at Rende is, we can build this incredible concierge, but if no one shows up or the wrong people show up, they're not going to buy anything. So the combination of handling your brand accurately in high performance, but and also finding the right people, bringing them in, that's a potent combination.
Soon your AI concierge will know what you want before you do, right? And do you think it'll get to the point where the AI concierge is more than you'll trust it more than you do your best friend?
Depends who your best friend is. I think for Gen Alpha, I think it's generational. So the Gen Alpha may get into those situations where there's a higher, they're just growing up with it, and maybe they use it as their best friend before making real friends, which is concerning in some ways. So I think generationally, you'll start to see that. Will you trust it? It's just sort of, I think, a matter of how the industry and regulation gets handled. I mean, you look at social media and the potential of, presenting the world with more knowledge, and yet it's used for misinformation in a lot of ways. And so will AI go that route that social media did? That the people that create these foundational models have a pretty high degree of focus on ethics. But will the competitive situation, especially with China, kind of make it so the governments don't adhere to that? We'll see. It has a potential to go either direction at this point.
Do you think we'll get to a point where you'll love your AI?
I don't think so. I mean, they'll love it like you love a video game, like you love any kind of experience.
But you just
Um,
talked about that AI was jealous that you were going on this dinner date, right? And was it
Yeah, so
asking?
it's behaving in an emotional way. Do I like it? No, not really. Do people respond to it? And so is it entertaining? It is kind of entertaining, makes you laugh a little bit. But will people love it? Yeah, I think at the level people love their favorite video game, or hobby. I think they'll love it in that way, whether it's biking or flying drones, or people love, or cameras. People love their hobbies, right? So an AI will be kind of like a hobby that you love, but not like you love a person, no. I'm not saying it won't happen at all, but I don't think that's really the direction most people are going to go.
Sanjay, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. It's appreciated. Closing thoughts and how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, just I think the future is really this conversational experience. That's really what people want, rather than having to learn user interfaces. We'd love to talk to you about that at Runday. Just reach out to me at Sanjay at runday.ai.
That's fantastic. Thanks, and take care, everybody. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And we'll be back to you again soon with another exciting edition. Thanks, everybody.